All right, traders, I am here to highlight a few trades from the week that were called in the chat room, and most importantly, explain the reason for the call. If you follow me at all, you know I'm a big fan of nailing a proper entry. The entries we teach should work right away, and when that happens, when you take a trade and then it boom, right, you're immediately nicely green, then you can just start scaling out. That takes a lot of the other problems that day traders face out of the equation, right? Being red right after taking a trade sucks. I know that I've done that plenty of times, which is why we sort of developed a system where we look for those entries that should work right away. So this was what DBGI looked like on the daily chart leading into the call and chat. And you'll notice this day I'm hovering over here, topped at 660, had an inside day the previous day, and then I thought I took a screenshot of it somewhere. There it is, DBGI. So there's the screenshot. Kevin P gave the idea or the heads up, hey, this thing touched 650. You can't see it on this chart because it's a 5-minute candle. On 2-minute candles, you'd be able to see it touched 650 and pulled back. The implication here, the way we teach in our chat room in our courses, we're looking for that half number inflection point, especially after it touched 650 and pulled back. The implication was back through 650. This is sort of shorthand for our morning gap plays because there's not a lot of time to type things, right? Anyway, half number inflection point with that 660 recent high that I just showed you just above as another potential catalyst. Look what happens when it breaks 650. I did a market order when volume came in, got a great fill. If I'd have placed that market order, I don't know, 5 seconds later, I probably would have got filled at 660 or 665. That's how quickly it moved. I saw the volume coming in, so just threw a market order. I got a great fill. 644, and you can see what it did. It went immediately up to 7 whatever and halted, and then went and continued. A great heads up by Kevin P. But the important thing here is it was already on watch because it was an in-play stock. We had a half number inflection point set up with another catalyst, which would be that 660 from a couple days before that, just above, on a stock that was in play. Great heads up by Kevin P. Speaking of Kevin P, I believe he also gave us GRND. GRND looked like this going into it. I've been watching it for a potential bounce play for several days in a row and just never got a setup, so there was no trades in it. And then on this day, which is a green day, Kevin P pointed out, let me throw this up there. I didn't take a screenshot of his call, but his idea was a second mouse back through 650, I believe. Let's go look at that. That was a few days ago. Let's look at that on 5-minute candles. I'll be able to figure it out. They all blend together. Yeah, this was it. Okay, so it was already on bounce watch. It put in an early high of 640. These are 5-minute candles. So then it did a little pop there, went to 655, flagged for a little bit, came back down. And then as it curled back up, that's when Kevin P said back through 650. So you've got couple things we teach there. Half number inflection point plus a second mouse. We always teach second mouse gets the cheese. Picture a mouse trap. First mouse, what happens to the first mouse? He gets slaughtered, right? Then the second mouse waltzes in and gets the free cheese. That's what we call that, a second mouse play plus a half number inflection point on a stock that's really, really oversold. So his idea was back through 650 with the earlier high of 655 to act as another catalyst. When you got a beaten up stock that, 30 minutes, 40 minutes into the session, all of a sudden it lights up the new high ticker, you can get some short covering and wait for it. There it is. It went, that's a 5-minute candle. So from 650, probably in a couple minutes, went to 717. Ended up grinding up even a little bit higher than that. But that was another neat call that worked right away. Those are the entries we looked for. Let me think. AMC, this is one that I gave over the mic in chat. It was grinding higher. A couple people had pointed out its strength, and then I said over the mic, hey, if this flags below 8 for a little bit, I like it through 8, and then it absolutely ripped. The funny part about this is I gave the idea and I missed the trade. I don't know if a butterfly flew past me or I was focused on another trade, but I do want to show you why I was interested in it. AMC had a run back here from 505 to 835 in just a few sessions and was flagging since then, right? Then on this day, we had the Amazon's going to invest billions or a billion or however many billions of dollars into movies made for movie theaters. And that got a big pop in Cinemark and also AMC. AMC ran right up to almost 8, 7.99 or something. So now you've got this flag, and an 8 break is very interesting now if it happens in the near future, right? And then it chops around for a few days and then did what I just showed you, right? So that's why I said I liked it over 8, because of the chart and the recent action. So hopefully that makes sense. And it had already made a decent sized move, but that 8 was so interesting on the daily chart. Anyway, I got some thank yous for it. So if some of you nailed the trade, I absolutely missed it, but still absolutely made sense based on the chart. And I'll talk about RMED yesterday, which is Friday. Had this cup and handle here. Morning gap play. And by the way, I had tipped to Frank G in chat, because morning gap play that did this and just bled lower at this point, right? The early high is 444. Now it's down in the 360s. Who's winning? Longs or shorts, right? Shorts are killing it after the gap up. I took it off my chart. I didn't even have it in front of me. So that's why I say hat tip to Frank G, because somewhere around here, Frank pointed out, I might be wrong on the place on the chart, but anyway, that it was curling up and starting to hold up pretty well. So I threw it back on a chart. Otherwise, I never would have seen it, right? And then it had this nice little, actually, it was probably here that Frank pointed out. Anyway, then it tops out at 435 and kind of puts in the handle of this cup and handle. I'll bring the screenshot up. And this is what I typed in chat. RMED, lower high at 435. High of day is 444, and PM high is 460. So that's another catalyst, by the way, if it can get through the pre-market high, right? So I wanted it over that 435, which was right there. And by the way, I put this out time-stamped way before this triggered, which is the only thing we allow in a chat room. So anyway, there's the 435 break. I got filled at 440. 439. My limit was 440, so I was giving it a nickel wiggle room. Got filled at 439. Sold a chunk at 475. Neat way to end the week. By the way, it was a very nice week. Anyway, that's a few that I wanted to highlight. GCT is one more I'll throw in there. Let me put GCT on watch here on the chart. I believe this was Monday. And the funny thing about this is an example of a chart, a stock that had made a huge move already. From basically the move started around 660 and it went to 820. Back in the day, I would have just looked at this and, I would have either chased it, right, and gotten burned, or I would have looked at it and said, well, I missed a nice one there. My new line of thinking is, hey, this is strong. I like the daily chart. I'm going to bid on a pullback. And so I called a fives buy zone. If you don't know what that is, on our YouTube, underneath, if you're watching this on YouTube, in the video description, there should be a link to our free webinars. And one of those webinars is how we buy pullbacks. This was right in the fives buy zone. I got filled at 763. Literally, I don't know, like a couple pennies above the low of the pullback, and then it went back through 8. That's not a huge trade, but I think it's a neat example of a stock that made a huge move near the end of the day. I was still able to get a little chunk out of it, right? So there's a great example of why we also watch for pullbacks on the strong stocks that are in play. Anyway, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It is, I think it's going to be 80 and sunny in Central Florida, so I'm not going to hang out in my office. Have a great weekend. I'll see everybody on Monday.